September 14th, 2014, from Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina. It was the Detroit Lions and the Carolina Panthers. And the Panthers won the toss, but they elected to defer, and so the Lions would get the ball first. And they drove all the way to the Carolina 31, where Nick Freese would attempt a 49-yard field goal, but it was no good, so the game remained scoreless. The Panthers struggled to get anything going on their first possession, and they would punt. So the Lions took back over with about 7 minutes left in the first quarter, as they would once again drive into the Carolinas territory all the way to the 27, but then a fumble by Bell was picked up by Cason, and the Panthers took back over as they now had the ball on their own 27 with about 2 minutes left in the first quarter. They went 3 and out, and they punted before the quarter came to an end, so Detroit would take over possession and bring the quarter to a close and begin the second quarter, but they went 3 and out as well, so they would punt right away, and the Panthers now would have the ball with about 14 minutes left in the first half, and they drove all the way to the Detroit 8-yard line, but then they lost 3 yards and would end up kicking a 29-yard field goal as Gano put the first points on the board as the Panthers took a 3-0 lead. So now the Lions took over with about 8 minutes left before halftime, and they marched all the way to the Carolina 28 before losing 3 yards, and then Nick Freese attempted a 49-yard field goal, but it was wide right, and it missed, and so the score remained 3-0. So the Panthers now took over with a little over 3 minutes left before halftime, and they quickly marched down into the field goal range as they were in Detroit territory, and Gano kicked a long 53-yard field goal to put the Panthers up 6-0 as he kicked his second field goal of this game. So now Detroit had the ball with about a minute left before halftime, and they would actually end up punting, and then the Panthers would end up sitting on it and go into halftime up 6-0 in this low-scoring defensive battle. And on the first drive of the second half, the Panthers went 3 and out and punted. So the Lions would take over and they would drive all the way down the field. And then Jed Collins scored on a 1-yard touchdown pass from Matthew Stafford as the Lions took the lead 7-6. So now the Panthers had the ball, but they would end up punting it very soon thereafter and giving the ball back to the Lions, who then went 3 and out. And now the Panthers had the ball back once again with about 6 minutes left, just under 6 minutes left in the third quarter. And they made quick work of the field as Cam Newton led them 72 yards in 8 plays in a little over 3 minutes, capped off by a 14-yard touchdown pass to Avant. So now the Panthers took back the lead at 13-7 as they were now up by 6 points. The Lions then would get the ball with about 2.5 minutes left in the third, and they brought the third to a close and opened up the fourth, but they would punt just 3 plays into the fourth quarter. So the Panthers had the ball, but they went 3 and out and punted it right back to the Lions. So the Lions took over with about 12.5 minutes left, and they were right at midfield in perfect range for a strike. Matthew Stafford dropped back to pass, but he was intercepted by White as the Panthers get the ball back on their own 30 with about 12 minutes left to play. So now the Panthers had the ball, and they marched downfield 70 yards in 9 plays in about 5 minutes, capped off by a 2-yard touchdown run by Jonathan Stewart. The 2-point conversion attempt would be successful, and now they're up by a full 2 touchdowns at 21-7. So the Lions now had the ball, but not quite so fast as they fumbled on the kickoff, and now the Panthers got it right back on the Detroit 33, set up already for another Gano field goal just moments later as he kicked a 38-yarder, which would make the score 24-7 as the Panthers further extended their lead. So now Detroit got the ball back with about 5 minutes left, and they would need 3 scores, but they wouldn't get even 1 score as they would punt the ball, and the Panthers took over with 3.5 minutes left. They went 3 and out and gave the ball back to Detroit, but with 3 minutes left and needing 3 scores, Detroit would do what they could, but they ended up turning the ball over on downs, and that would pretty much bring the game to a close as Cam Newton took a knee, and the Carolina Panthers win this game 24-7. And in this game, Cam Newton was 22 for 34 with 281 yards passing and 1 touchdown. He also had 19 yards rushing off of 4 carries. Matthew Stafford was 27 for 48 with 291 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Jonathan Stewart was the leading rusher with 37 yards off 15 carries, as well as a touchdown. And Calvin Johnson, Megatron, was the game's leading receiver with 83 yards off 6 receptions. So the Panthers come up big, and I'll tell you what, it was that defense as they shut down the high-octane passing attack of the Lions. And they got a lot of help from a lot of players. Davis had 12 tackles. Kuechly had 11 tackles. Cason had 10 tackles. Edwards had 1.5 sacks. Addison had 2.5 sacks. And White had that interception. The Carolina Panthers just shut down Detroit and win this one by 3 scores, 24-7.